So I've been to a handful of like worship conferences, worship leader conferences. And the thing that I found that I liked the most was when I would meet other regular worship leaders and just kind of pick their brain about what they do in their church and how their church works and how they do worship. So I've put together 5 questions that I'm going to ask any worship leader that I get a chance to talk to. Hopefully make some nice little videos out of that. The questions are open to adjustment. This is the first time. And I wouldn't want to ask anyone to do something that I am not willing to do myself. So with that, let's welcome our first guest. Come on in. So should I sit?
You can just sit right over there.
Cool. Cool.
Okay. So before we get into the questions, can you just introduce yourself? My name is Adam Browne. I am 37 years old. What else do you want to know? Whatever. I am married and with 2 kids, and I am a budding YouTuber. All right. Well, good luck with that. Okay. Question number 1. How would you describe the church where you do worship, the church where you lead worship songs? All right. Well, my church is a young church. It was started about 15 years ago, and it's very community focused, both wanting to feel like a community within itself, but also wanting to engage and serve the community that we're a part of, which is Putnam County, New York, sort of a suburb of the suburbs of New York City. Sort of a friendly, contemporary style church. And we're not trying to be like hip or trendy. Not that we're not trying. I'm just not sure we don't really know how. But I kind of like it that way. And our congregation is kind of a wide gamut of people, but definitely a lot of younger families with young kids, people who grew up in the church, a number of people who grew up in the Catholic Church and are kind of rediscovering faith as adults. And it's a small operation. The church itself is 100, 150 people. We're growing for sure, but it's just, as far as staff, just the pastor and an administrator, and then a really great group of volunteers and lay leaders like myself. And the church is growing, and we're probably going to be bringing on an associate pastor soon, so that's exciting. All right, well, you started to kind of answer my second question, but we'll get into more detail, which is, how would you define your role there? I am part of a triumvirate, part of a song leading team of 3, and my wife is a part of that, which is great. She handles most of the administration, which is, organizing volunteers. That's obviously a huge part of everything. The other member is a great, strong leader. She's really great at finding connections between songs and engaging the congregation. And then I sort of head up the kind of musical side of it, playing and leading, usually on acoustic guitar, almost every Sunday. Great. Okay, question 3. What is your favorite song to lead right now, and why? That's a hard one. Kind of depends on who's playing with me. A full band at our church would be guitar, bass, drums, keys, and about 4 singers. Assuming I had the full band, actually, even if not, I'm going to say Glorious Day. Not the "and I ran out of the grave" one, not the like youth rally one. I mean the old one based on the old "Living He Loved Me" hymn. It's not a new song at all, but I love it because it tells the whole gospel beautifully in both the verses and the chorus. And because our church really sings out on it, which is always nice when you're leading to hear people really singing. And lastly, because musically our band is just really comfortable with it. And that's always nice.
Great.
Too.
Great.
I like that song too. Okay, question 4. In your role with music ministry, what do you feel is a challenge and or an opportunity that you see at your local church? I would say it's feedback. I don't mean like squealing mics. I mean, I wish I had a good way to know what songs were resonating with the congregation. We may be leading the songs, but the Holy Spirit is the one leading their hearts, and I can't necessarily tell what he's doing in their hearts. And maybe I don't really need to know, but I kind of want to know because I want to know what songs are working or not. I can see how much I can kind of get a sense of how much people are singing, but someone might be singing just because the song is catchy, not because anything is going on in their heart. Or they might not be singing because the Spirit is doing something in their heart and they just need to be silent and listen. So basically I'm trying to pick songs that will help us worship well. And I guess I wish I had more data for how to do that. So yeah, I'm still working on figuring that out. Great. Question 5, last question. From your experience as a worshiper and as a song leader, what is one observation that you feel like not enough people know about or think about? There are a lot of things. But one thing in particular that I keep coming back to is this idea of empowerment. I feel like there's a trend in worship music right now toward big anthems that essentially say, God's got your back, you can do it, you're awesome. And while there's certainly like a biblical foundation for the sort of God's got your back message, I think it may be being overemphasized in our worship music today. When we sing things like, and if our God is for us, then who could ever stop us? I always sing that, and then I want to sing like, well, God would stop us if we're not, if the things that we're doing are not aligned with his will for our lives. So I don't think that's what the songwriters have in mind when they write these songs. But I think it's easy to sing them like as sort of like Christian versions of Katy Perry's Roar or like these big power anthems. Feel good because God's on your side. Yeah. I always like to think of this Abraham Lincoln quote, which is pretty well known, but he said, my concern is not whether God is on our side. My greatest concern is to be on God's side, for God is always right. And I think that's just something we need to keep in mind. I think we need to balance our set lists with plenty of humility, songs that deal with humility as well. Yeah, that's all. Awesome. Well, that's all the questions. And that wraps up our Q&A. So thank you for joining.
My pleasure.
And we'll see you next time. Oh, would you like to do the honors?
Oh, yeah.